So 7 months ago, I did a video and named it The Narrative. This is why Chris Hughton will succeed as Black Stars coach. It had a lot of reactions, and I was optimistic because I'd gone through the the works of the coach Chris Hughton. I'd gone through what I had seen him play as a footballer. I've watched clips of him and his team he used with his rehearsed formation that I thought could help him identify a module, especially with the national team, the Black Stars. Welcome you once more. This is a big watch here on YouTube. Kindly subscribe and leave your comment. Today, I take a look at the Black Stars versus Mexico game, the friendly, the international friendly. I was only not shocked over the weekend. I was not only downhearted. I was not only, in want of words, mesmerized. I didn't only feel I'd wasted my time staying awake up until that time. I was asking myself a lot of questions. Why was I asking myself such questions? Was because I do not understand why up until now Chris Hughton can't get things right. What's happening? Now, I told no lie in the video 7 months ago that he is a coach who is a fan of the 4-2-3-1 formation. And I did not tell a lie that he's a coach that's, when he was a player, was a fullback, so loved the offensive approach of inverted laterals who defects the game with a bit of their energy and runs up and down, as in when they are offensively attacking and defensively having a shape coming back. Listen, the Black Stars have a crop of young players, very young. The goalkeeper is 26 years old, turning 27. On the right, Kingsley Schindler is 30. In the middle of defense, Joseph Edo is 28. Talking about this is his starting 11. Nicholas Opoku is 26, turning 27. Gideon Mensah is 25. Thomas Partey is 30. Stefan Ambrosius is 24. Elisha Usu is 25. Kudos Mohammed is 23. Joseph Painstill is 25. Antoine Semenyo is 23. This is the squad he chose for the start of the game against Mexico. For Mexico's team, they have, I could count about 3 or 4 players who are of the old squad, who are experienced in the squad coming up into the game against the Black Stars of Ghana. It is why I'm surprised, because Chris has not gotten his hands around this team. It is the same question I asked CK Akono prior to his sack. And some of these players, come as far as from CK Akono's time. Before I go into the game proper, I feel the whole problem lies at the doorstep of Chris Hughton. Chris is doing nothing. Chris is not convincing enough. See, Ghanaians were like, CK Akono has been manipulated from behind. And CK himself came and mentioned that, at a point after his Black Stars coach or deal or what have you, if you want to put it. Listen, some of these players come as far as the call-up from CK Akono. And they are with Chris Hughton now, and we don't see anything Chris is doing. Listen, the 4-2-3-1 has become a formation that's been rehearsed by coaches and managers who were masters of the 4-3-3 system, or formational system, or however you want to put it. That is why Mikel Arteta, of all people, learned under Pep Guardiola is using the 4-2-3-1. That is why, and of course, varies it at a point. That is why Pep Guardiola himself is using the 4-2-3-1. It is why Manchester United is practicing the 4-2-3-1. It is why Roberto De Zerbi is using the 4-3-3-1. It has become the formation of the day. These Black Stars players, or this crop of Black Stars players I mentioned to you now, are players who are having startups in their teams. Now we read through comprehensive report of Ghanaian players abroad, thanks to my friends at Ghana Soccer Net. They help us know, of course, we cannot watch all the games in Europe at a go. So we try and read around after each game. And we get to know that these players are getting startups in their team. Some of them shining, some of them scoring, some of them giving assists at goal. Week in, week out. The Black Stars from Otto Addo's time got us to know that the Black Stars is a team that, a national setup that before you earn a call-up, you should be playing consistently with your club. These players, I mentioned their name here, who were the call-up or the starts 11 for Coach Chris Hughton, are the setup or are the players who, of course, the entire team he called have time in their setup. And if they go to their national team and they are shining, I mean, if they go to their club side and they are shining, and they come back to their national setup and they are not shining, there is a problem, and it is with the coach. It is with the coach because the very areas that we know the coach from his playing days and from his coaching experience to have used and become a master of, he's not a master of now. Listen, the comparison of Gideon Mensah and Baba Rahman does not sit in. It will never sit in for me because Gideon Mensah is now establishing himself in the Black Stars. When you talk about Baba Rahman, this is a chap who's had 51 appearances for the Black Stars and got into the Black Stars somewhat around 2014, 2015. We should not be comparing Gideon Mensah to him. Gideon Mensah is a chap who came and played the Black Stars and everybody got in, everybody fell in love with. And I recall at one point in time, I was in a commentary calling him Rastaman throw one stone because it was his timing in tackles and what have you. He did not have a good game against Mexico. I cannot say that these players who started against Mexico are tired. We commenced the season not long ago. We should not bring issues of fatigue and what have you in it. We should not. The problem I'm saying is Chris Hughton. Chris is not getting things right at the Black Stars. And it is why we should raise a lot of questions, why a lot of Ghanaians should be concerned. Because these are virtually young boys or young footballers who are playing week in, week out in their clubs. When they come to the national team, I feel the national team is one of the sides that is not so difficult like the club side, because the club side, week in, week out, there's demand, there's pressure from the footballing fans. But when you come to the national team, the coach has a lot of time to observe these players in the club, at the club side, and decide who is a top guy to call into the national team. So when a coach calls a player into the national team, he knows the setup that a certain coach is using at the club side, that when he comes to the national team, he can easily fuse that in and then use that to augment the squad. So if the current formational or system that is out now, you cannot use it, then you have a problem as a coach. Then the problem lies at the doorstep of the coach, not these players. The players were just running helter-skelter in the game against Mexico, not able to swing passes together. Yes, I understand that in football, it is in halves, and one can have the first half, or for the first 30, or the first 15, or the first 20 minutes, and the other team can have the other half, and it's in halves, and it's permissible, and because it is why it is a game that one reads from a distance, that the technical setup needs to read. Chris is not able to read the game. He does not get his starting 11s right. I'm sorry. I'm saying that I started my argument here. I'm saying that 7 months ago, you can check the videos that's on this list. 7 months ago, I did this video. I call it The Narrative. This is why Chris Hughton will succeed as Black Stars coach. Am I still of the same opinion? I say no. We are going into the African Cup of Nations. We have the World Cup qualifiers in November. We are playing against United States of America in the friendly that we'll be observing on early morning on Wednesday. And against Mexico, we cannot fine-tune ourselves. We cannot play. Listen, Ghanaians are people who have, who do not have patience for our Black Stars, because we have seen our creme de la cremes play. Yeah, we've seen a certain Black Stars that we did not win the World Cup. We did not win the AFCON with such players. But we were okay. They gave us some feel. They made us feel this is Black Stars. This is the Black Stars that go match on boot for boot with those who won the African Cup of Nations. The Black Stars we spoke of initially. The Suleiman Taris, the Michael Asians, the Stephen Tornado appears, the Baby Jetta Samoja, the John Pencils, the John Menses, the Ole Lickingstons, later on Adam Kwarase. The list goes on and on and on and on. These are Black Stars that gave us some smiles. So we say we are forming a new Black Stars. Now we are having good young players, and they are playing week in, week out in that setup. And I can tell you the statistics of these players from the goalkeeper to the last guy out from Ranchion Semenyo, when they go to their club side. So when they come into the Black Stars of Ghana and they are unable to play, it is the coach's problem. Because instead of the 4-2-3-1 formation, which this coach was rehearsing initially during his playing days, he was playing, and during his coaching period, it is the formation he fancied most. So if he becomes a coach and he has this crop of young players, Mohamed Kudus is shining. Joseph Pencil, we've spoken about him doing exploit. Edu got injured at a point in the game, but you know, these are players that we feel can feed our Black Stars because they are young, because they've showed glimpses. Elisha Owusu in the previous game for Black Stars, Thomas Stephen. Listen, the reason why I think this coach is not performing well is that, see, Thomas Partey is not that kind of player who's going to stand there and give you a pass, take the ball. He's not, he envisages, he reads the player. So before Thomas Partey holds any ball, he should see that the player is moving. Then he'll give that long, decisive pass, sweep about 4 or 5 players off the opposition team, and then it is aiming at the goal. He does that at Arsenal. He's done that at Atletico Madrid. So if we can't get these players to be thinking on the pitch of play, then it is the coach's problem. It is a system that he's playing. Occasionally, I could see he's playing 5 back, and I don't understand. The picture is just not clear. And at a point, you could see 3 players offensively attacking, and I ask myself, what are we playing? What's the formation? What's the system? I mean, if we are regrouping on the defense, what are we playing? If we are going on the offensive, what are we doing? Listen, I asked prior to Coach CK Akuno's sack, I asked him at a press conference here in Cape Coast. In Cape Coast at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. I asked him, Coach, you promised us agro football. So far, we've not seen anything agro about your football you are playing. Do you believe, or do you see your hands on these Black Stars players? That could be indicative that there's a certain style of play, but it's just that the players respond in today and they do not respond tomorrow. He paused for a long while. It took the moderator to convince him to answer that question, because indeed he did not see his answer around the players. And he had wanted to say a lot of things but controlled himself. Chris Hughton does not have his hands on this team. It could be disastrous after Milovan Rajevac. Should we go into the African Cup of Nations in January with this same behavior? We are in a group with Egypt. We've beaten Egypt 6-1 before. Egypt is having Mo Salah. We have Thomas Partey. He plays in midfield. He rarely scores for the Black Stars. We have Kudus Mohammed, who've shown over the period for Ajax, for West Ham United. But this is a big question mark. Well, Egypt is not the Egypt of yesterday. But Mo Salah alone is instrumental. And I say that because if you play as a team, you always get results. We are not playing as a team, Black Stars of Ghana. We are not playing as a team. And this is my frustration this morning. And this is my frustration this hour. And this is my frustration this day. I've watched the United States of Americans play. They play a certain pattern of play. They are crisp, they are smart, they create a lot of chances. I've seen Captain America, I've seen Rhea, I've seen a lot of young chaps. When they are up front, it's clinical. They met Germany. Germany is a super house. They have recouped well, and Germany have, young guys who are on form. Sani, they have Coman. They have a lot of guys who are on form. Thomas Müller. And so, listen, it was Germany, and it was a tall order for United States of America. I don't believe Ghana is a tall order for them. And this is why we must get worried. The coach, let's end this video here. This is Abeku Autry. Leave your comment in the comment section. I'm so worried. Leave your comment there. Kindly subscribe, and maybe we have to come back after the United States of America game. We have to. Thank you for your time.